Kicks to the head, Peyton hits the bench. In Houston, we have a major problem. All this and more up next on College Crossfire.
What the hell's the rest of it? Taylor's not even here to I'm so excited.
Good evening, everybody. This is College Crossfire, the exclusive live sports show on the 40 Acres. I'm your host, Reese Miller. Glad to be with you and incredibly excited to have you with us. Before we dive into debate, let's meet our panel of sports knowledge for tonight. We have Taylor Wiseman making a return. Taylor, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for asking. Not everybody asked me, but I really appreciate that. Already off to a great start. Caden, I know you'll ask. Caden Kinard, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Returning champ.
Thank
ready
you.
for another one.
Yeah, returning. Not last week. That wasn't it. Taylor that won last week.
Negative.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
No, so that's okay. That's okay. We'll have a returning champ next week for sure. Mark Skol, the great Mark Skol. What's up?
Reese, I'm doing great. If I was doing any better, it wouldn't be fair to everybody else.
That's true. Definitely not fair to me, guys. Let's go ahead and get into it. The Texas Longhorns have excelled in one category. It's their country dancing abilities this season. One step forward, two steps back. Texas lost to West Virginia Saturday, 38-20, after turning the ball over to the Mountaineers 5 times. The Longhorns are now 0-4 in true road contests this season. Expectations are through the roof, or weren't through the roof, but how do you put into perspective just how big of a disappointment this season really has become? Taylor, we'll start with you.
Oh, gosh. Well, to say the least, it's upsetting. I think that everyone at Texas had hope for the beginning of the year with Strong coming in his second year and things like that, but it has turned out to be worse. Honestly, as far as the season goes, not really paying much attention to it anymore. I'm more excited to see where Charlie Strong takes this team maybe in 2 years. See, once he's got a full 4 years of recruiting under him and see what he can bring in, and excited to see the future, really. I'm kind of over the season.
If he, I mentioned being over the season, if he gets 2 years.
Right.
The contract technically goes through 2 years, but
Right.
we'll see. Caden, what do you think about tampered expectations?
Tampered expectations. The fans mismanaged the expectations. It's their fault. 23 underclassmen play too many minutes to begin with. Tyron Swoops, when he was a senior in high school, went 1-9. Had a few games with less than 50% completion percentage. A bunch of games with multiple turnovers. The fans just expected too much out of Charlie Strong. But you're right, though. She's right. It's disappointing, even though it wasn't unexpected. And it's incredible to think that Texas still might make a bowl game, even with this terrible season, which I don't think they should accept the bid at all. It'd be a disrespectful slap in the face to Texas to play in a bowl game more than likely at 5-7. But the expectations, they're kind of right where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, well, they still technically have a chance, but on the road they have homer against Tech, on the road against Baylor, most likely headed for 4-8, 5-7. Tyron Swoops also, by the way, White Wright, a 2A high school. Mark?
It's disappointing, but it's not a shock. You looked at the team from last year. They lost all their senior leaders. They lost Jordan Hicks, Diggs. They lost all their best players on defense, so they're all starting a bunch of players who haven't even played on the collegiate level before on defense. And you have 2 freshmen starting on the offensive line. You got a freshman quarterback in who hasn't seen the college football playing before. It's hard to do well when you're not having all this experience on the field, and that's what's hurt them so far. But what's good about that is that they'll be able to play very well in the future, and the future is only getting better, even though the future or the present is not very bright right now.
You know what? All great points there, guys. I'm in a great mood. So you all start off with a point,
Wow.
just because I'm a generous type of guy. So everybody gets a good
Great
start
job.
to that one, guys. The latest, greatest, and most controversial playoff standings were released last night by the committee. Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, and Notre Dame make up the top 4, while undefeated Iowa and undefeated Oklahoma State remain out. Do you guys have a problem with 2 undefeated schools getting left out? And is it even possible the committee would leave out an undefeated school over a school with 1 loss, i.e. Oklahoma State, while Notre Dame or a 1-loss Alabama gets in? Obviously, there's time to go, but what do you guys think about this?
Well, first, Iowa and Ohio State, one of them's going to beat each other. It's just going to happen scheduling-wise. And then Oklahoma State, they're not going to beat Oklahoma. But hypothetically, say they do. Say they do. They're going to pass them. They're going to pass Notre Dame in the rankings because Notre Dame, they've played better people so far, but Oklahoma State has the gauntlet of their schedule remaining. The team that's kind of outside looking in is Houston, but they don't deserve to be there. Who have they played? What? They struggle with Memphis and Louisville.
Right.
They're not going to make it, and there's not going to be any undefeated teams remaining. It's just except like no undefeated teams remaining outside the college playoff committee.
Okay, so no faith in Oklahoma State yet. Still, obviously.
Texas almost beat them.
Yeah.
Sorry. What does that say?
Right, they've been terrific at home. They get Baylor in Stillwater this weekend. Mark?
I think if there's one team that can make the college football playoff with one loss and having a team outside of the playoff undefeated, it's Notre Dame. It's pretty quite evident. Notre Dame's only loss came to Clemson at Clemson on the road in a very weather-determining game. They only lost by 2. They had a chance to win it at the end of the game. So I definitely think Notre Dame could make it to the playoffs. They have, what they've done this year with a backup quarterback now, and after Malik Zaire went out, they've got probably one of the best linebackers in the country. Got Jalen Smith, and they got the best wide receiver in the country now that Josh Doxson is out from TCU, and Will Fuller. It's a great team all around and well coached. And I'm sorry, I'd like to see a team like Iowa in there, but when college football fans are thinking of the top 4 teams in college football, and I hate to say it because I completely disagree with it, but this is what's going to happen. Iowa's just not one of those teams, and Notre Dame's just one of those national powerhouses that's just going to be in there.
Now, Iowa may be boring, but like Caden said, if Iowa wins out, that would include beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game.
But then Ohio State would be out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor?
Well, Mark just took my entire point about Notre Dame making it as a one-loss team, so I'll go away from there.
Okay.
I think that Bama, I don't think they should be in the top 4. They
really? Top 4. Okay.
Really?
Okay.
I mean, they lost to Ole Miss, who lost to Arkansas, and that's almost like losing to Texas. I mean,
Okay.
it's bad.
Transitivity, baby.
But I know, but I think that if a team like Oklahoma State does win out and they beat OU and TCU, I think that they definitely should be in the top 4, and the one-loss team should be Notre Dame over Iowa.
Let me ask you this question real quick before we move on. Just a quick answer here. 1 loss Oklahoma, 1 loss Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Texas beat Oklahoma. Notre Dame killed Texas.
But Malik Zaire and Tyrone Swoops instead of Gerard Hurd.
Wait, but also
38-3.
I think it's interesting because the playoff committees, they've always said they're going to value conference championships, and I think that's going to be a real issue when it comes down to it because Notre Dame's not in a conference.
Right.
So are they going to hold that against them and maybe try to stick them to join a conference?
Right.
I want Oklahoma to win to see what they do.
Then again, no championship game for Oklahoma. Maybe in the same spot, guys. Great debate. Love the bold prediction there, but I got to give it to Mark there just because I think Bama deserves to be in the top 4, guys. The Longhorns basketball team trip to China wasn't an ideal vacation to the start of the Smart regime. In a pretty ugly game, Texas was out-rebounded and outmatched by a young Washington team, 77-71. The Longhorns were picked by most to finish right in the middle of the pack of the Big 12. Obviously, this team has a lot to improve on, but what are some of those key things, and should we kind of reset how good we think this team is going to be? It's only 1 game, but pretty ugly start. Mark?
Well, to be honest, a coach is responsible for adding more wins, but not too many wins. And when you look at the talent on the roster, it's the same exact team as last year plus 3 freshmen. And they lost Miles Turner and they lost Jonathan Holmes, arguably their 2 best players. So I didn't really have high expectations for this team this year. I think they're showing more passion, which is what Shaka Smart has brought to the team, which I think is really good, which is what this team needs. They just don't have the talent to compete on a national level. And we saw that Washington. It's a team Washington. They should be able to easily beat them. I think the only player who showed up against Washington was Isaiah Taylor. And then Isaiah Taylor, at the end of the game, he makes a bonehead decision on a 2-on-1 fast break to not take the layup when he had the hot hand and pass it to Javon Felix, who I think had 3 points on the game.
Why would you not pass to the guy? Come on.
You got it. I don't know. Isaiah Taylor is the only really good player on this team. Everyone else is kind of iffy. And I think Shaka can develop those players, but as of right now, I just don't think the talent is there.
Okay, so not enough talent. Kate, I see some disagreement, but we'll get to you in a second.
Okay.
Taylor.
I think that the talent can be there if they work on things. I mean, their shooting was terrible. they were 27% from the field, and shooting and rebounding, two major things in basketball. I think if they don't change that, they don't change the way that they played against Washington going forward. And I think that that's really their biggest thing, is they just need to work on their fundamentals, get those solid, and keep going.
And certainly Cam Ridley and Prince Ebay can't quite afford to get out-rebounded by a young, small Washington.
Yeah.
Caden?
No one's mentioned the ball movement yet. They had 6 total assists.
Oh.
By the way, Miles Turner was just a glorified stand-up shooter last year that blocked a little bit. He played 18 minutes. He didn't do much. The talent's there. Tevin Mack, Eric Davis, and Kerwin Roach are maybe 3 of the most talented guys in the team. But the issue started with Isaiah Taylor. I know he played well and he put up points, but if he's going to be that ball dominant and take 16 shots and then also have 15 free throws, to have zero assists is inexcusable. That just can't happen from your leader. So he set the tone, and because of that, throughout the whole game, players were pressing too hard, and they were trying to take too difficult of shots. And it started with Isaiah. And Shaka's system will promote ball movement eventually, but right now the players don't trust it, and it's kind of evident in that first game. But it's not a. This team's still going to finish in the middle of the Big 12. They're going to. They're too talented not to. I agree that this team's very talented for what Shaka wants. There's athletes across the board. Connor Lambert's going to have a good year. He's improved his shot. I know we've been saying that for like 3 years now.
Yeah, that's what we say about Cam Ridley every year too. They're not that good. And I hate to say,
China?
I've
Shanghai against
I've
a
watched
top
3
25
years
program.
now, 4 years now of Connor Lambert, 4 years now of Cam Ridley. They're not going to change
But you have
after
3 young
1
talented
year.
freshmen.
The 3 freshmen are the only hopes for this team.
Shaka Smart's the hope for this team. A coach, I disagree that a coach only wins you a few games. In college basketball, a coach can win you many games. There's no reason for VCU to be playing in the Final Four year after year. But with Shaka, it's because of him, and that's going to happen here eventually. But he's been here for 6 months.
DeMarcus Holland coming back. Don't forget Javon Felix, the sharpshooter. Caden gets a point. He's got faith. He's got hope. Ball movement's important in Shaka Smart's system. They're going to get it done. That's going to do it for round 1, but don't go anywhere, because up next we address the rapid recoil of a legend and go inside the ring with Rousey. This is College Crossfire. Welcome back to your favorite show on TSTV. We know it's College Crossfire. Let's take a look at our scoreboard after round number 1. We've got Taylor with 1 point, Caden and Mark each with dose thrown at the peace sign. So guys, plenty to go. Taylor, 2 rounds to go. Let's go ahead and get into it. Houston, we have a major problem. The Rockets are an ugly 4-7, and they're losing currently this morning. They fired head coach Kevin McHale. Just 5 months ago, Clutch City was in the Western Conference Finals. Now they're turning into an early season dumpster fire. What is wrong with these Rockets, and was it the right move to go ahead and can McHale? We're only 11. It's going to be 12 games in. They might be looking at 4-8, but was it the right move, Taylor?
I think it was the right move. I think that they need to just let him go, move on, maybe use it as a fresh start. Start over, start the season now, pretend it's 0-0, and maybe make a winning record out of it from now on. I think their problem, though, is they're throwing air balls all over the place.
That is a problem.
I mean, James Harden, just multiple, and I don't know how at the professional level you have players still doing that. So I think that if they can turn that around, make baskets like you need to in basketball, I think that they might be able to turn it around. I'm not saying that they're going to I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic, but we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I don't know.
Okay, so shaky start, no question about it. Less air balls.
You know why he's airballing, right? You know why? It's the Kardashian
The curse.
curse. It's the curse of the Kardashians. It is real. But no,
Don't forget Lil B. Lil B's got a curse on him, too.
Too many curses going around with the Rockets. But was it the right decision? I don't agree with it, but I understand it. McHale's been kind of one to be out by a lot of Houston fans for a while. He doesn't have a fun brand of basketball. There's a lot of ISO, ball movement, just like Texas, is a real issue. But the issue with the team is stem from their leaders, and James Harden and Dwight Howard. James Harden is a notorious one-way player. He does not play defense. His most famous YouTube probably reel is him not playing defense. So how could he hold other players accountable if he's not going to play accountable? And then Dwight Howard is going on his 9th coach. What a coach killer. How
9?
8 or 9. 8 or 9 coaches. No one thinks that Dwight Howard's a coach killer.
9?
8 or 9, I guarantee. So they've started 3 years in a row, 4-7. So it's kind of an overreaction. But it's the proper reaction. I just don't know who they're going to get, though. Who's going to be better than Kevin McHale right now, not 36-year-old Bernie Bickerstaff?
Maybe former Chicago Bulls coach Tom Thibodeau. Mark, what say you?
Well, I want to say there's tons of things to talk about this topic. 4-7, it doesn't mean anything at this point in the season. Last year, the Cavaliers were 19-20 at the 40-game mark, and they ended up going to the NBA Finals. So right now, this start means nothing. It doesn't matter how you start the season, it matters how you finish it. As for Coach McHale getting fired, I think that it was definitely the right move. I thought they should have made that move a long time ago because they don't play defense. They don't play as a team. They don't play defense, and that's the main problem with this team. They have all the scoring talent in the world, all of it, but they don't play defense. They don't play as a team, and that's what's been their struggle all these years. That's why they couldn't stop Steph Curry in the playoffs last year. They need that defensive coach, and I think Coach Tibbs is the perfect fit there because he would bring that defensive mentality there that they desperately need, and he would definitely fill that void very quickly. And as for James Harden, he needs to, this Kardashian thing is definitely obviously on his mind. He's not shooting his percentage, I think it's like 30% on the year, 26% from three-point land. Just not having a great year, and I think a lot of it has to do with his mental state. And a lot of people say basketball is physical, but a lot of it, I'd probably say about 70% of it is mental. If you don't have that mental confidence to go in and take that shot, you're probably not going to make it. Yeah.
And then they're 24th on offense and 29th on defense, so the issue's on both ends. But can't Daryl Morey, is he a victim of the advanced analytics age? Because they're falling in love with threes and interior shots. But a lot of those mid-range shots that did well last year for the Rockets, they're gone completely, and I think Morey's also at fault for this.
Either deeper down low. Taylor's going to get the point here because, quite simply, he can't airball. As you mentioned, terrible statistically, offensively, defensively. Taylor gets the point, guys. And one of the biggest upsets in sports in recent memory, Holly Holm defeated Ronda Rousey to claim the UFC Women's Bantamweight title in knockout fashion. Guys, just in general, what's your reaction to this upset? And what's next here for Rousey? She mentioned she takes some time off. Is there a comeback in order? Caden, start with you.
First, it was sad watching her lose. Not only because, call me sexist, I don't really like the girls fighting. It makes me sad. I'm sorry. It's not something visibly I want to see.
Even after all that trash talk.
Even after, I just didn't like it. And Ronda Rousey, she's absolutely stunning. But it's also really sad to see someone be at the peak of their career and lose it all in a moment. She lost everything. She's on the cover of ES Sports. She's in the Entourage movie. She had all these endorsements. And now, what is she without her championship belt? She didn't lose just a fight. She lost the peak of her life. And so, yes, she is still pretty, but it was sad. And can Holly Holm be the next Ronda Rousey? No, because Holly Holm really won't go for the knockout that early. Ronda just fed into that.
Yep.
And she's not as marketable. As sad as that is, she's not. She doesn't have the personality and the charisma.
Right. Rousey was sort of on a mountaintop. Seems like an avalanche kind of took it out. See how she recovers, Mark.
Depressing, I wouldn't really say it's really depressing. I feel like sports, it's all about upsets, and that's what sports thrives on. It's like we're not certain about everything, every game or every sporting event, and that's the beauty of sports. And that's why I'm not entirely upset about Ronda Rousey losing this fight, just because that's what happens in sports. That's why everyone loves sports. That's why we're sitting here talking about it right now. As for I don't even know her name, Holm becoming the next Ronda Rousey.
Well, apparently not. Apparently
I don't think so. It's just because Ronda Rousey just had all that fire and that passion, and you don't really see that from Holm. And I just feel like it's just 15 seconds of fame type deal.
Right. Certainly one of those moments we never would have expected going to that. Expected another one-round Rousey knockout. Taylor?
I'm going to go against the grain. I personally was kind of happy that Rousey was taken out.
Okay.
I thought that Holly Holm, that was a fight. She was moving, ducking out of punches. I was impressed. I don't typically watch boxing or fights, but I was impressed. I would watch her again. Just the speed of her feet and things like that, and then to knock out Ronda Rousey the way she did, a kick to the face. I don't know if you watched that in slow-mo, but that was pretty impressive. I think also that Rousey somewhat set herself up to be taken out and be dropped off of that mountaintop that she was on. She's been, like you said, she's in the movie Entourage, etc. She kind of let that fame get to her, and I think that it took away from her training and her focus, which allowed her to let her guard down and be knocked out. So I think Holly can have a similar career. We'll see.
I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the sport. Kind of like my boy Caden here, but I do think Rousey, in a way, set herself up for that. So I think I'm going to give Taylor the point here just because all the trash talk, all the fame, everything kind of came crashing down at once, guys. We're going to move to some more depressing news, especially if you're a hardcore sports fan, especially football. After breaking Brett Favre's all-time passing yardage record early in last week's game, Peyton Manning proceeded to complete 5 out of 20 passes for 35 yards, 4 picks, and a passer rating of zilch. He was benched for Brock Osweiler and is missing this week's game against the Bears due to an injury. Is it time for Denver to move on and go forward without Peyton? Not a fun topic to address, but we have to, Mark.
I hate to say it, he's a top 10 player of all time, but it's time for Peyton Manning to hang up the cleats, put up the pads. It's over. I hate to say it because he's like one of those players who you have to watch him on NFL Sundays. It's just one of those must-see TV events, and I hate to say it, but it's done. He's been hurt the last 2 years. We've seen it going in the playoffs last year. Wasn't able to do anything, and this season he's struggled. I think he had only one good game against the Raiders. It just hasn't been a good year for Peyton Manning, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. And the only thing right now is he needs to get out of it before he makes his ending his career any worse than it is right now. It's not looking too great. It's a downward spiral, and it could get a lot worse if he doesn't go out any sooner.
It's not fun to see, but one game away from breaking Brett Favre's all-time wins record. It would really be a shame to fall one win short.
Well, I'd like to see him finish out the year. I think that this is one game where he threw multiple interceptions and didn't do well with completions. But you have to remember, you can play hurt, you can't play injured. And that's what he did. He played injured. And so let him heal, give him a couple weeks, bring him back in, let him win a few games, and I think that he's good. I think he's good to go for the rest of this season. I'm not so sure about next season, but I'd like to see him come back, finish out the season strong, and take Denver into the playoffs.
I'd also like to say that Gary Kubiak probably isn't the best coach for him right now either. I think that John Fox was probably the ideal mold, and Coach Adam Gase now, both in Chicago, who they're going to be playing this week. It's just, I feel like this Kubiak, I don't think Kubiak's the best option for him either right now.
Injured or not, hasn't played well all season, leading the NFL in picks, has one of the worst QBRs in the league.
His injury is old age. It doesn't matter what coach. It doesn't matter what coach he has. How many times we see him roll out right, roll out left, and really set his feet, get back, and throw it, and just falls 6 yards short. He just doesn't have the arm strength anymore. And for the Broncos, the best decision going forward is benching him, playing Brock Osweiler. And I think the comparison is apt right now for Kobe Bryant and Peyton Manning. Aren't they both just having such tragic seasons, and the franchises are having a hard time letting go when the decision is obvious? These ex-stars aren't producing. They're not stars anymore, and they're getting in the way of the team's current success and future success.
I think the difference there is the Lakers aren't going to be a contender, and the Broncos are still maybe in the top
Their defense
2 or 3.
That's why I said, like, future success,
in the
current
AFC.
success.
Okay.
They're still getting in the way of the team's plan. The plan's to win a Super Bowl for the Lakers, the plan's to regrow. Either way, these older players just don't have anymore. And talk about airballing shots. Kobe, gosh, haven't seen a player hit the underside of the backboard more than anybody this year.
All right, guys, we got to wrap this up. Mark's getting the point because Gary Kubiak, don't think that's exactly a fit, especially it looks early on in the season, guys. 2 rounds are down. But don't go anywhere. Rapid Fire rumbles your way, and we decide a winner up next. Welcome back to College Crossfire. Nearly time to ramp up rapid fire, but briefly, let's check out our scoreboard. We've got Taylor. She's on the board with 3. Caden has 2 right there in the middle, sandwiched between the other 3. They're the tray over there in Mark's Skol, guys. Points are doubled. Anybody jump in, you guys know how it works. Y'all are veterans. Let's dive in. After the Houston Texans ended Cincinnati Bengals' attempt at an undefeated regular season, J.J. Watt said, "We turned Andy Dalton from the Red Rifle to the Red Rider BB gun." Can you think of a player with a nickname that you can turn negative? Or, you know what, you can just make up a negative nickname for someone.
The Mambo could become the Samba because he's all show right now and no content.
Okay, Mama turned Samba. Kobe Bryant. Excellent.
I'm gonna go Ocho Cinco, and if you start doing bad, you can turn it to Ocho Cinco No Mo.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Ocho Cinco is no mo in the National Football League.
But yeah, well, yeah.
That's fitting.
My bad there.
Oh, jeez, this is a tough one. I got to think of like players with like some like good nicknames.
Well, or you can make up one for one that doesn't have one if you want.
Yeah, try that, Mark.
A good nickname or a degrading nickname?
Degrading.
Oh.
Come
man.
on, we don't lift people up on the show. This is College Crossfire.
What about La Flop James?
He's the best player on our generation.
Yeah, what about Derek Rose? You call him bifocal Rose? Come on. Come on, talk about.
Caden's get the 2 points.
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Charlie Strong continues to be rumored to having interest or talking to the University of Miami. Strong again dismissed the talk this evening at his press conference for this question. We need you to imagine you're a great NCAA coach. You can go to pretty much any destination. Where do you go and why?
This is football?
This is football.
Oh, this is easy. I rolled up the sleeves for this one. I grew up in Orange County
here we go.
during the height of the USC era. I don't know if you guys saw it, but they just made a 30 for 30 about this.
Yep, we did see it. Texas beat 'em.
The University of Southern California, 2 national championships, 3 Heismans in LA. Could you imagine being
Wait,
a coach
three
there?
Heisman, does that include Reggie's? That's
Oh,
no longer
absolutely.
there? Okay.
Every time they announce the Heisman,
It's technically not there.
it's still Reggie Bush won the Heisman this year. It's still there, so everyone, it's in the memory. Could you imagine being a head coach in LA, going to clubs, going out at night? Everyone knows who you
Sounds
are.
like it's
yeah,
not going to be that good.
Yeah, apparently Steve Sarkisian might have gone out a little too much late night.
Not a better program than that. What, do you want to go to Ohio State? What are you going to do? Yeah, go Bucks. Oh, shucks. What do you do? You're done there. You got nothing to do.
All right,
Come on, give me another
Taylor,
program.
where you guys going?
Got to go with the program with the most wins in college football history, Michigan. If you want to be good, you got to stay good.
Jim
So,
Harbaugh obviously looking good.
I'm going. You come to Texas. It's Austin. Sorry.
Pop out of here.
Sorry.
You almost got me with the homer points, but I've got to go Mark here. Just because Michigan, obviously, look at what Jim Harbaugh is doing right now. USC, been a little unshaky. You might not have.
I thought it was where we wanted to
You
go.
might not have a job for more than 4 weeks.
I appeal the points.
Who knows?
This is baloney.
No.
Appeal denied, guys. Moving to our final question to decide a winner. Time for a caption this photo. The photo we're giving you is the iconic picture of Holly Holmes' knockout kick to the head that defeated Ronda Rousey. So, caption that. It's your job to think of the Holly roundhouser to Rousey.
Oh. All right.
Can we jump in?
Jump in anytime.
Bye, Felicia. Bye,
Can we see
Felicia.
the picture again?
Yeah.
Can we see the
Okay,
picture
bye,
again,
Felicia.
please?
Yeah, keep
I mean,
the picture one more time.
It's what I tweeted, but it's night, Rhonda.
Ronda Drowsy.
Oh, that's good.
That is good. That
That's
is
pretty
good.
good. Night drowsy.
Jeez.
Come on, Mark.
Oh man, a nickname for the caption. Okay. Oh, let's see.
Oh my
We are
goodness.
taking here. Get about 10 seconds.
Okay. See ya, Rhonda. I don't know.
Thank you.
Caden wins.
Plagiarism. Copyright infringement.
Caden wins just because Mark tried to take Caden's Night Ronda.
Wait, how is that the same thing?
Do we have any
like-
time for FaceTime?
It's like synonymous.
Time for FaceTime?
We have
All right,
time
do
for FaceTime?
We have time for FaceTime,
Holy
Caden. It's all yours.
smokes.
Don't talk about the Clippers. Here we
Don't
go.
talk about the Clippers. I'm going to talk about the Clippers. Of course I'm going to talk about the Clippers. This season, Doc Rivers has been absolutely atrocious. Reese asked me before the show, who are the top 10 coaches? You know who's not in there? Doc Rivers. Jamal Crawford leads the Clippers in fourth quarter minutes, and that is an absolute terrible decision. Wesley Johnson needs to start. Jamal Crawford needs to see the bench. The Clippers will make it to the Western Conference Finals, and they will win the championship this year.
Didn't they wake up?
Bold. Certainly bold predictions. Great stuff from audience. Great stuff from all you guys. That's going to do it for show 11 and 20 and 15. Don't forget to check us out on social media at College Crossfire. Make sure to watch every Wednesday night live at 9 for the very best Longhorn sports news. Tune in to College Press Box Mondays at 9:30. They're on the Twitter as well at College Press Box. All of our shows are on the YouTube. Caden Kinard, your champion. Big thanks to our other panelists, Taylor Wiseman, Mark Skol. Even bigger applause due to everyone in the studio, Master Control, and a special thanks to each and every one of you for spending your Wednesday night with us. We also move on with heavy hearts for those in Paris who have passed away, those who have lost many loved ones in the process. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. And until next week, I'm Reese Miller. Have a wonderful Wednesday night.